Hey guys, how's it going? It's Friday. It's been a while. I have not been getting a whole lot of streams in, but it's good to have the guys in the chat watching and being there for me. My name is Stuart Davis. I'm a flawed man of God. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor, I'm not a biblical scholar, and I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do, talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about Christianity, talk about the Bible, and discuss issues within the church and without, and how they affect us as Christians, and give you a little bit of insight from me, a Christian all my life, 39 years, non denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination, just in the Word every day, trying to do it right as best as I can. So if you are um, looking to learn more about Christ, if you are not a Christian but you are interested, you think that there is more to this existence than just how you spend your days here on Earth, welcome to the show. I hope you get something out of it. This is a casual stream. Um, and if you are already a Christian, welcome to the show as well. Hopefully you hopefully you find this very fulfilling and you stick around. We run it very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school. And either way, no matter which direction you're coming from, um, welcome. And I encourage you to go into the chat and contribute. But if you just want to listen, that's fine too. So tonight's a bit of a chill stream. That's what we normally do on Fridays. We haven't done any Bible readings, I don't think, this week, but it's it's just Friday, and I wanted to and it's Veterans Day, so I wanted to kind of give it the Veterans Day treatment, and just talk about some things in general, despite from what the chat says. Um, saw some stuff discussed in the Discord, some ideas, and I know we need to get back into our readings, but and we need to finish up Monday is the plan. Finish up First Samuel, and it's going to be a pretty eventful. It's going to be a pretty eventful reading. If anybody knows how First Samuel ends, but we'll get into that, and we'll get into that on Monday. Tuesday, we're going to have a fellow on from a podcast called Bible Bashed, and he is a gentleman who's recently had his Twitter, or not Twitter, had his YouTube account suspended for a week, I think. And when this happened a few weeks ago, and I invited him on to talk about it, but they had some other stuff. I think there might be a couple of guys. I don't know exactly what I'm getting into on that, but it's going to be interesting to find out what exactly they got the block for, and a little bit about their show so we can learn about it. So that's coming up next week. So we'll have a guest. We'll have a guest up there. We had Jeff on the election stream. His Twitter handle is Operation Saint Cyprian, and he's a big I guess geek would be the best way. He really geeks out on the paranormal, and so we're going to have him on at some point to talk about paranormal belief in Christianity, kind of his takes on things and what he sees. And I think that'll be something that you guys really appreciate and really enjoy, because that's how it be. Let me brighten this up a little bit. There we go. And there we go. That's what we're looking at next week. As far as we've at least got one guest, and that's another guest I've been trying to get on. I need to be better about getting guests on and going and running them down. And part of this is the chat's to blame for that, because you guys have been so you guys have been so interactive that it hasn't. I've been lazy. It hasn't been motivated me to go get guests. But we had a bunch on for the election stream, and that was great. So we're good. We're good. And so, and I know you guys all got to witness my voice disappear um, Tuesday night after a 4-hour stream, but it's been on the mend. It's been on the mend, and I'm sure by the time Monday rolls around, we'll be all right. I'll be back to 100%. But I've given my voice quite a vacation. Took off Monday to get it ready for Tuesday. Tuesday destroyed it. Wednesday and Thursday needed to recoup. Friday I needed to get back on stream for you guys, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. But as you can tell, my voice is not back to where it needs to be. So Dresden's in the chat, Nico's in the chat, Porcupine's in the chat, Brian, my buddy Brian's in here. How you guys all doing? How you guys all doing? Thank you for the guys. Thank you for the recognition of Veterans Day. It's great. What's better than that is the fact that there's free meals for me on Veterans Day. Me and my wife went to Buffalo Wild Wings for lunch, and I got 10 free wings and a drink, a free lunchtime meal, which is 10 wings, fries, and a drink. And I got water, so the lady gave the free drink to my wife, so that was nice. And then for dinner, me and my father-in-law, who was drafted in Vietnam, we went out to O'Charlie's, and O'Charlie's is Charlie's has been me and his traditional dinner spot for Veterans Day, because one, we really like O'Charlie's, and number two, they put off a decent spread. Now the menu this year was, it was chicken tenders, which, look, they don't skimp. I don't know how many of you guys go to O'Charlie's. They feed you there. Food's pretty basic, but it's good, and there's a lot of it. But they have chicken tenders, and usually that's a dinner plate full of chicken tenders and fries. So that was there. They had the honey fried chicken, which was probably really good. It probably would be awesome with chicken and waffles. And what else they had? They had a told fish. They had a chicken salad, or a large salad with pieces of chicken in it, not a chicken salad, because that's completely different. And a fish platter, and they had all that. And then at the bottom of that, because it's the special Veterans Day meal menu, at the bottom of that it says, or you can get a 14-ounce bone-in ribeye for $10. And so me and him were looking at it, and I'm like, I think I might get the steak. And so did he. So we ended up getting the steak. Our waitress came over, and she asked us for our orders, and it came out. She sounded like I did Tuesday, at the end of Tuesday's stream. And I looked at the lady and I go, ma'am, I know exactly how you feel right now. I am just getting my voice back. So, at the end of it, I gave her a really nice tip, because I know that's a struggle. That's a struggle, because it's difficult to connect with people when you can't talk very well. So, and it's just, dude, that's just the allergy season. And we almost had a disaster today of epic proportions, and that's not me exaggerating. We had 3 tornadoes, possible tornadoes, pass around the house this afternoon, to the point where school got shut down, and school got shut down, and we couldn't pick up the kids because they were on tornado warning. So they had everybody in sheltering in place and on lockdown. We had one tornado go directly over our house. Well, not a tornado, but like you had the funnel. It was starting to churn, right? Where you look at it on the map and it starts to twist. But there was nothing coming up from the bottom. That went directly over the house, and 2 more went by, and they kind of dissipated. Everything kind of dissipated. I don't think we ended up having any tornadoes touch down, but it was a little hairy situation. The wife was incredibly nervous about that, and but we didn't have one. So we just got a lot of rain. So my son's soccer game is probably going to be canceled. Probably going to be canceled next week or this weekend. Yeah, nothing. There was no touchdown, nothing touchdown. So it was a breaded storm. We did not have any touchdowns, which is great. I'm fine with that because we get tornadoes are an occasional presence here in Central Virginia, but we are not people who really we are not people who are used to or comfortable with tornadoes. I'm kind of blasé about it. My wife, like I said, my wife got a little impatient with me about it because she was asking questions, and she's like, "Why are you so meh about this?" I'm like, "Well, if you can see how this is up, this is basically a frog. The man cave's a frog. Finished room over the garage. You go down the steps, and it's a perfect place. There's perfect places. There's not much we can do, so it's just stay in downstairs, have everything ready to go if you need to, and when it hits, we'll either build a new house or at the minimum, I guess I get a new roof." Because if it damages the shingles or anything, but can't do much. The kids we knew were safe because it was a very big it's built like a school, concrete walls and everything. So, and we don't our tornadoes aren't huge. We don't get the big jammas that they get out west, in the Midwest, down south in near the Mississippi, or out there in the plains. We don't get those monsters. They, not to say that they are destructive. I've seen one tear a path through woods that was wild, and it ran right through a Walmart and broke that building to smithereens. It looked like the federal building after Oklahoma City on each side, because it cut right through the middle, and each side was just like, it looked like a bomb went off, or it looked like somebody just ran right through it. A giant had just run right through it. So there you go. That was our it was just kind of an eventful day today. And so that's that. Porcupine. I cooked this morning for 500 veterans. Super awesome that I was able to give something for what y'all have given. Thank you. That's the thing. I take advantage of the Veterans Day stuff because, look, I like to eat, and eating for free is great. And if they're offering it, they might, I'm much obliged. But, and there's the old meme, with Eric Bana, who played Hoot in Black Hawk Down, and he's doing when Hoot does the speech at the end to it's not to the sergeant, who was kind of the main character, but and I'm drawing a blank for some reason. Everybody's like, when people say, "Why do you do it, Hoot?" Why do you do it? They don't understand. And he goes, "It's for the free meals at Applebee's and the Veterans Day discounts." And but in all seriousness, and regardless of my thoughts looking back on the war in Iraq and everything, still got the dudes out there were still bad guys. And maybe we weren't doing it, we weren't fighting them the correct way, the way that we should have. Maybe, and we definitely stayed there too long. But there's no denying the fact that the guys that we were taking out were bad people. Were bad people. And a lot of them weren't Iraqis. A lot of them were coming from other countries. They were definitely folks interested in terrorism, or just fighting us infidels. But we're better armed. We took out a whole lot more. So, I don't have any I don't have any regrets. I don't think that we were um, doing anything bad there. Hang on. Sorry. um, I don't think that there's been any. There's no consternation on things, and I got they got my stories to tell, and I did what I set out to do, and so and look, I got my VA loan, which is great. The VA loan's probably the best benefit I've gotten as a result of the Veterans Day thing. Also, built most of my career off of my military experience, so it's it's definitely given me a lot. Um, and I just I sometimes worry about the current state of our military at times because I don't feel like I worry about how effective we are now as opposed to how we were 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 50 years ago. We seem like we were badder and we were more willing to do the necessary things. But again, the argument there is have we actually had the will, political will, as meaning the will from politicians to really fight a war the way it needs to be since World War II. We didn't do it with Korea. We didn't do it with Vietnam. And we kind of did it in OIF, OEF, but the problem there was we didn't just leave afterwards. So we're not the United States, and I'm not the first person, and I won't be the last person to say it, we're not an occupying military. We're there to break shit and kill people. So we're not there to be a police state. We're not there to um, nation build. It's not what we're here for. It's not what we're trained to do. That's not what our mentality is going in. And that's just, and to be honest with you, I don't know any I don't know any fighting force from a quote unquote free nation that does that. The only people who are quick to do that are um, are from totalitarian regimes, and I was telling this to a friend of mine. Those folks are built uh, do that, and they commit a great evil in doing that. They're not doing any good. They're just they're there to be terrorists. And so when you put us in there, you put us in that situation, we're going to make mistakes too, and we're not going to know how to handle situations the best way. But we got thrown into that, and that's the long and short of it. So, um, they're Nath cracking me up over here. And yeah, Nico, it was pretty close. If a tornado eats me, I have no say, no sense worrying. I'll just hope I'll remember to yell Leroy Jenkins. That and look, the first time I saw the Leroy Jenkins thing, I was in Iraq. The Marines had somebody from the Marines had put it in there, put the video clip on the net, and we were all cracking up about that. It was that was at the very beginnings of YouTube, 2006. Nernaeus says nation building only happens via colonialism, whether they become close allies, assimilating American culture, or hate us so much they kick us out. That's the only way to gain their own independence. Yeah. And I don't even know if that's really the case either. Because I mean, colonialism, where has it worked in that fashion? It didn't work in India, which is the easiest one I can think of. Colonialism in the sense that the colonists from from Britain, from England, came to America, but that's just sending your colonists there. But that's just us building a similar nation, a better one, to be sure. But that was the kind of thing. People who were feeling too much of the oppression from the UK came to, or not the UK, it was England at the time, and the British Empire went west to do something a little bit else. Have you seen the movie Interview with God? It's a Christian movie about a vet. It was okay for me, but I don't know how others would think. No, I've never even heard of it. Nico, I would be interested to see it. The thing is, for me, the weird thing for me is I can't watch a lot of modern day stuff. Anything that really has come out about modern war since I haven't been able to watch. Black Hawk Down remains one of my favorite movies of all time. We Were Soldiers as well. Hold on. We Were Soldiers as well. Mostly because I was in training when both of those came out, and I remember we went and watched both of them. I was in, I was just graduating from basic training when Black Hawk Down came out, and so when I got to Fort Eustis for Black Hawk School, we went and saw it. Me and a buddy of mine took my girlfriend, and we went and saw it. And then We Were Soldiers came out. We did the same thing, and then and then as a company, the whole company, they took us, or maybe the whole battalion, the whole training battalion, but it was definitely at least the whole company, went to the local theater and watched both of the movies at different times. And it was great because I love both movies. But Black Hawk Down in particular, I have a few connections to it. My drill sergeant in basic was in 10th Mountain. He was in Somalia, and he was part of the 10th Mountain group that went in to get the Rangers out during Operation Gothic Serpent. And the guy who was kind of my mentor, when I got to my regular duty station, the guy who's kind of my mentor was with Task Force 160th. He was a crew chief with Special Operations Air Regiment, and he taught me more about the Black Hawk than anyone else. And he his career E5, because he shot his mouth off and he told everybody exactly what he felt. But when it came, and he was hilarious. And he was the penultimate prankster. He was a great guy. He is a great guy. I still think he's still hanging around there, but great guy, and knew that helicopter inside and out, and gave me a lot of advice that at the time I didn't take, but later on resonated with me. And so both of those guys were there, and both of those guys had a deep impact on my life, at a time where I was coming of age, basically. So there you go. The only modern example is Japan. Germany is the counterpoint failure. Yeah, I guess, but Japan kind of had their own. I guess Japan saw what they liked and picked and chose from it, but they were already a developed nation. I mean, it's not like colonialism where you're going into like when we went into Iraq wasn't a developed nation. Iraq was a war-torn crap hole that was being run by a dictator, and at one point had been a developed nation, but Islam and the culture out there had really just wreaked havoc on it. So, like so many places. So, hang on. So, that's the thing with the nation building side of things. And we're in Africa. We're still in different parts of the Middle East, and we've got our presence, but it was different in World War II, the leaving World War II in Germany, because that was already Western culture. Nico, it's not really action. It's more about post-action War and Faith. Was interesting as a layman. No, that's probably, yeah, I could probably watch that. Man, my nose is itching. Gosh, guys, his allergies are killing me. Have been killing me. Just scratch my nose off. Then y'all have nothing to make fun of. If I got rid of my nose. Japan was feudalistic with access to modern guns. They had no textile industry or many natural resources. They were in the 1700s with better guns. The destruction of the imperial power and the shogunate allowed for total restructure. Yeah, but they didn't necessarily restructure it with a democracy. And the British and monarchies weren't really exactly new or innovative. They didn't have I don't think they moved into a parliamentary system like what the British had, I think, at the time. So, feudalistic, and not necessarily that, but feudalism, Western culture was only a few centuries removed from that. That's different from us, basically, in the 20th century, in the 21st century, trying to nation build a country that's operating like it's in the 12th century. So much post-industrialism. Oh, well, that's a different. Oh, are you talking about after World War, or right before and right after World War II? I guess that's a little bit different. I thought you were talking about like imperial. But again, they were pretty. Thoughts on Funko Pops? I have one that I bought years ago. It's Deadpool. Sits on my desk at work. We gave them all the infrastructure and we left. Well, and that's what's to say. We left, right? We never. It wasn't an occupation. It was, we showed up, we traded with them, we hung out a little bit, but we weren't ruling over them. And they, as a society, just came and decided that they were going to they, as a society, just kind of said, look, these guys have got this stuff going on. Let's see what we can do. And look, in some ways, they've surpassed us. Occupied them. All right. So, Nernath, I need to figure out, are you talking about post World War II or before that? Are we talking about like when the UK was there? We weren't ruling them, but we were there trading with them and advising them somewhat or whatever, trying to weasel our way into things. Oh, post World War II is different because, again, post World War II, yeah, they're still a little feudal, and their society is still a little feudalistic. I mean, they've I don't think they've ever they've fully shrugged off that caste system. But they were industrializing. But again, that's what you're talking. That's the difference. Japan was industrialized post World War before at the onset of World War II. Iraq, Afghanistan definitely wasn't. Vietnam was not an industrialized nation. Korea, not an industrialized nation. South America in the late 70s and early 80s, not industrialized. And not really, and none of them were really on their way to being so. You do the nation building. Again, it's got to be cultural. They got to want to do it on their own. And I think by being in and just hanging around in Japan when the British Empire was doing it, the Japan was pretty much basically saying, okay, well, let's try some of this. And yeah, they got now maybe Nerdath, maybe you know more about that than I do. I just didn't see it. I just don't see it. Christian Mario, I get a pass. So I get a pass. I have an acceptable Deadpool, and and Christian Mario says I'm anti Funko Pop, but can make an exception for Deadpool. Thank you. And also Mario, thank you for coming on stream. That was great. And it was great to have you on there. Thank you to everybody who came on, especially those like Blaine, who were carrying me through my loss of voice. Blaine says, "Happy Veterans Day. Even the post office robots have the day off." Thank you for your service, postman. So, text in Italian, thank you for your service. Thanks, guys. I mean, that's not much else I can say other than thanks for recognizing it, right? I tell a lot of people, thanks for being a community. Thanks for being people worth thinking that it was worthwhile for me to put myself in that situation. So, are Funko Pop's graven images under the second commandment? I think they are for some people. I think the way some people collect them and put them around and be like, oh, all these Funko Pops represent my personalities, and they put them all over the place, and it's like, okay, we get it, right? It's just flair, but you're trying to impress people, make sure everybody knows that you're just like all these characters. And no, it's that's silly. That's silly. But yeah, no, I got the Deadpool one because at the time Funko Pops had really just come out, and they were kind of novel, and I thought it was funny, and I was at GameStop, so I saw it and I picked it up and got it. Blaine, are you headed off to the place we were just talking about? I'll have to tune in for one of those streams. So, but yeah, so that's the Veterans Day talk, and that's pretty cool. Like I said, I enjoy it. My kids don't know a whole lot about me being in the Army because I was out for a few years before they came along. I mean, they see me in uniform in my wedding photos. They took a few pictures with them to school to put up on the wall. But, I mean, they're not old enough or interested in enough to actually ask me about anything really regarding it. I mean, they don't even know what I did or what branch I was in or what war I was in. I asked the kids last night, I was like, if they ask you, do you know what war your dad fought in? And my son goes, the Civil War. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Atoya Yamaguchi showed us how to stop commies in your country. Well, so did Pinochet. So did Pinochet. So, Japan has no communist party to this day since 1960. Good for them. However, they also lack Christianity a lot too. So let's keep the Jesuits out of Japan, but let's send the Lutherans in there, right? The Lutherans. You have seen me in my uniform and without headphones. Where have you seen that? Just curious, just out of curiosity. I mean, it's easy to follow me if you're following me on Facebook, on a Flawed Man of God on Facebook, and you could just follow it to my page and probably seen it where my wife has tagged me at some point. So, but we don't broadcast it a whole lot. She made me some as a Facebook. Okay. She made me a loaf of this pumpkin spice like bread thing. It's the best. I'm a big pumpkin pie fan. Look, this is time of year, best pies on the planet at this time of year: sweet potato pie, pumpkin pie. And this is just above pumpkin pie. So I told her, I was like, well, now you got to make this every year around this time. And so she made me one for me. That was my Veterans Day gift from her, which is fine. But I'm so full from eating the free food at the restaurants that I ain't got room to eat it. So that's fine. It'll be there tomorrow. So this past weekend was pretty cool. And I talked about it briefly on Tuesday, but did a men's retreat, right? Did a men's retreat. We had a thing happen about a little almost 2 years ago, where we had a family breakup over some goings on, and one of the things that one of the people involved said was that our small group, which was pretty tight, was didn't support them, and that got pointed at me specifically because I'm the mouthpiece of the small group by somebody in the church administration, and to which I said, this person did not act like anything wrong was going on. If they had been asked about it, they probably would have denied that it was going on, and things would have possibly gotten worse for the other parties involved. So it was a very difficult situation, and I'm still very. I say that. How long have I been a deacon? Geez, almost 6 years now. But we don't really have these things crop up. But I thought about that. I thought about the fallout from that, and I thought to myself, maybe this person wouldn't have opened up. Maybe they would have, if given an opportunity that they were in a area where they could talk. But even if I don't think that person would have opened up about their issues, other people might. And so what I decided was I was going to start doing a men's retreat where we just get away for a weekend, get to where we're going on a Friday night, stay, leave Sunday morning, come back home, and just have time away for the men to have something to do, something to network with people that we don't often get a lot of time outside of church to hang out, especially my age group, because we've got jobs, we've got kids, we've got spouses, we've got kids' activities, and we've got other things that we do, like stream and play video games, which is kind of what I do. But we don't get a whole lot of time to spend hanging out with each other. Now, my family and 2 other families are incredibly close. We hang out literally all the time, and that's great. But a lot of people and a lot of families don't have that, right? And I still don't have the opportunity to talk to my elders, who I'm friends with, and many of my fellow deacons, and that's just them. That's not the rest of the congregation. So my thought was, get us out there so we get time to talk and hang out and spend time and just get a chance to relax and unwind and be unguarded with each other in a setting where we are comfortable, but also understanding that there's a God aspect to it, right? And and the first time we went bow fishing, and it was 4 of us, and it went really well. Um, I caught a couple. I got the best shot of my life. The best bow fishing shot of my life was done that night, and I also got a stingray. Um, but what was I gonna say? Um, but it was a good success. We sat down and we talked about things, and so this time we were supposed to have 7. One guy had to back out at the last second. This time we had 6 um, go down, and we went pier fishing, Outer Banks. And one of the guys, Pete, one of the guys who's in the chat here, who goes to church with me, Pete, and another one who participates sometime. Well, you don't see her because she's in the Facebook chat, but Lauren, sometimes you hear me reacting to her, what she says in the chat. Her husband, who's a good guy, who's a great guy, um, they came down with me, and we had a blast pier fishing. Pete had never been fishing before, and we caught nothing. Nothing. My elder caught an octopus and a spot that was literally that big. I mean, and nobody else got anything other than crabs nibbling and maybe one bite that didn't hook, and that was it. But we all had a blast. We all had a blast, and a couple of us opened up. I mean, my year outside of here, outside of streaming, and maybe one day I'll get into some of it, has been very up and down. A lot of highs and a lot of lows, and a lot of apprehension. Um, and I was able to talk about some things. I was able to listen to some people talk, and it was great. And that was what everybody had a blast. And one of the folks who went with us was one of our elders, and he's he can kind of help put the word out that, hey, Stuart's not just doing this to get everybody away, that there's actually some constructive aspect to it, which I knew was some of the concern, because look, we're all going to go golfing next year, and that's all really everybody just looking for an excuse to go golfing. But my how I envision it is a large group of some sort, but however large the group can be and still sustain the mission. A large group going out there and people really just talking and getting things off their chest, and maybe somebody can help someone before things break loose too fast, too late. And we end up having somebody who walks away from our church and maybe goes somewhere else, but more importantly, might lose their faith in God. And it wouldn't be the first time that I've known somebody who's walked away from their faith because people didn't support them when they should have. And while I think that's ultimately a bad reason, because you've heard me say it once, you've heard me say it a million times. Don't let other people determine your salvation. But people, it happens to people because we're supposed to, and we're taught we're supposed to look out for each other, not just each other as Christians, but also the people who are destitute, who are hurting, who are vulnerable. This goes all the way back to the Old Testament, even before the Gospels, but supremely reinforced by the Gospels. But if we can't live up to that, what message do we say to people who don't believe, or people who do believe, and are in a vulnerable place in their faith, in their walk with Christ, and then they turn to apostasy? I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. And there's enough stress about men. You can hear Nick talk about, that and 100 other people talk about it, about the stresses that we have on men, uniquely to us. And I want the women to start doing the same thing. Get them, if my wife said she wants to go into a retreat, I'd be like, yep, drop the kids up, leave the kids. I've got them. We'll do something cool in the meantime. But you go out there, and I tell her that you go have fun. She's a responsible, loving lady who is very Christ focused, and so I trust her in whatever she's going out to do. Will not endanger our marriage, especially if it's getting together with other women to support each other, because women have their own stresses and issues and hangups and anxieties and everything. They're different from us, and things that I don't understand, and I have my issues that she doesn't understand. They're there. But it was a success. So we've had 2 successes in a row. Now what I really need to do is grow the group more. I'd love to double or triple the retreat in size next year, and we'll see how it works. So there we go. Nernaeth. One of the things that you brought up as an idea for the show was the Mr. Scott J87. Sorry, I missed the context. What mission? I thought it was more about being a witness. What are you talking about? As far as what I was just talking about is a men's retreat for guys that go to guys at my church, or guys that I know that are Christians, that we did, and it was more about us, creating an environment where we could talk to each other and shed some issues. Nernaeth, no, what you had brought up, your topic for the show about the 10 Commandments. I think I already did an episode about that. I recently did something. Did me and Eric talk about that? Was that an early stream? This is before the Nick stream. This is still when the channel was incredibly small. But it's but we addressed the 2 issues that you were talking about. Bear false witness, which is not lying. I mean, it's a type of lie. The commandments don't say thou shalt not lie. Is thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, which is knowingly lying against somebody else. That is wrong. And the commandment about it's the third, don't take the Lord's name in vain, which to me is JC, GD, slurs. Those are the slurs in my book, and I used to use them constantly. They've got such a weight when you say it. And I had a lot of family members who use that in context, so I grew up around hearing it a lot. And so, and I knew it was wrong, and I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I did it anyway. But I think it was around the same time that I think it was around the same time my son was born, was when I started cutting those out. And I don't. That's not the time. I mean, I see you disagreeing, and whatever. But I don't think that's the full context of it, but I think that's part of it. Yes, Profanity, cursing, and swearing. I don't care about swearing. I don't. Some people do. I respect that, right? I respect that, but I don't really necessarily think it's a biblical thing. I think it's just more of a, but, you know, whether you call it doo-doo or whether you call it shit, it's the same thing. The word, it means the same thing. There's just a crassness involved in saying one over the other. Fecal matter. But yeah. And some of it, so much of cursing now is, it's almost like a, not an onomatopoeia, but just, it's just a filler word. It's a filler word because you either want to just make yourself sound cooler, or you want to emphasize something, or you're just angry and you're using it to vent. It's different from, you know, using God, bringing God's name in where it doesn't belong. Right. And that's, I think, to me, that's what the crux of that commandment really comes into. You don't use it. Yeah, it doesn't mean don't misrepresent God. I can see that. I can see that. And at the same time, I think that, you know, the GD into JC slurs are disrespectful to God. And I think that I think that falls under that same. I think that falls into it a little bit of the same. Not exactly, and maybe they're just adjacent, but I think that the spirit of it covers that. So, Nico, I think it only matters if they're funny and they're not disrespectful. You know, if you know whether you're making it in good faith or not, guess what? God knows. God knows. You know more. God knows more about your motives than you do. And that's, look, and this is a thing that I think guides my life a lot, and how I admit what I do is wrong. When I do the wrong things, when I sin, when I screw up, is that, and I think it helps keep me honest about it, is reminding yourself, constantly being aware that even when nobody else sees, God knows every single thought in your head, every single action you've made. He's seen it. He knows about it, and he knows more about it, and he remembers it more clearly than you do. So you can fool yourself, or you can fool people. You're not fooling God. So the best thing to do is be honest with yourself as much as you can. Be honest with yourself as much as you can. Last topic, and it'll be short, because I was on said men's retreat last weekend. I missed my son's first game where he gave up more than 3 goals. He got lit up. Final score was 6-6. 6-6. He's got 4 goals scored on him in the first half. He was upset. I was getting updates, especially because it was a slow fishing day. My wife was sending me updates about scoring, and she had said he was getting left alone. The opposing offense was just pushing right through, and he was taking a lot of shots. And look, let's face it, 2-on-1 against the goalie, it's not ever good for the goalie. The other team has to either screw up or the goalie has to just get lucky. That's really the long and short end of it, and they didn't, because it was the team I was coaching last year that we were playing, which also made me mad because I didn't know that's who they were playing. Not that it would have kept me from doing it, but my son has been excellent in the goal since he started playing soccer, and I knew his bad day was coming, and I wanted to be there to help him through it because it's hard, and he takes a lot of things personally. He's sensitive. He wears a lot of that on his sleeve, and I wanted to be there to be like, hey, so we FaceTimed during halftime, and I talked to him. I gave him a little bit of a pep talk and told him about it, and he went right to it. Let another 2 goals go by, but part of the reason why he wasn't getting as much help on the defensive side was because the offense and the midfield were pressing so much and scoring a lot as well. So there you go. There you go. He gets indoor soccer in a month or so, and I never played indoor soccer, so he's gonna get an experience I never got, and I'm definitely gonna have an experience learning about it because it is. Look, I've seen videos of it, and I don't know if any of y'all have played it or watched it. Indoor soccer is fast. It is fast, and he's gonna have to learn. He's gonna have to learn to basically be a hockey goalie at that point. So, but that's the week in review. That's the off topic. That's the Veterans Day discussions. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind revisiting the 10 Commandments. I think it's a great topic. I think a lot of people have a lot of insight about it, and a lot of people know a little bit more about it. But I do think that there's a lot of commandments that people don't remember, and there's a lot of commandments people don't truly understand. Like, it's in the don't lie. Not lying is in the 10 Commandments. Well, some type of lying is in the 10 Commandments, but that's less of a deception than it is a betrayal. So a lack of loyalty to your fellow man. But is what it is. So what? My wife is sending me a million Instagram reels she wants me to watch because she thinks they're funny, and they probably are. All right, y'all. Well, it's Friday. We haven't got a lot of business. Oh, we didn't talk about the election fallout. I guess I can stay in and talk about that. No, we'll talk about that later. We can save that for next Friday. How about that? All right, guys. Next week we'll be on topic. We got a guest coming in on Tuesday, and hopefully I can get a full week's worth of streaming in to make up for all the days I was out this week. So, Nico, Nernaev, Mr. Scott, Texan Italian, Blaine, safe travels, Blaine, Christian Mario, Porcupine, Brian, Dresden, all you guys, everybody who was contributing in the chat, everybody who was just listening, glad you could make it. Thanks for being patient with me this week while I lost my voice, and hopefully it's back to 100% next week because I got some making up to do. I got some business to get into next week. So, anyways, y'all take it easy. Have a very good weekend. Be safe. I love you all, and go to church. All right. Y'all have a very good night, and God bless.